All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. I got another video for you. As always, I want to say thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I haven't been doing this for all that long. I think about 7 months, something like that. I think I started in March. And I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been great. The research is a big part of why I enjoy doing it. Of course, the interaction with you guys. Also, you guys always come up with some good comments, some pretty funny ones at times. There's some pretty good ones today. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to everybody who watches them and everything. Keep the channel going and all that. I hope you guys get something out of it. I do, very much so. In this video here, this is something I don't know how it never clicked in my brain. But I was like, oh my God, that's right. And what I'm going to go over is the fact that there is really, truly a handful of elite NBA seasons, NBA teams, individual seasons in NBA's history. Kind of spawned by, I had a debate on Sunday. Actually, I won the debate. I forgot to mention that earlier in the week. So I won the voting on the debate. So I am the first winner of Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best Summer Debate League. So I'll be getting the belt in the mail sometime this week, and I'll be sure to share it and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, what I found interesting is that in the history of the NBA, and I want to say it's like 78, I think they started in 1947. So if you add it up, it should be 78 seasons. So in the 78 seasons in the NBA's history, there have been 9 teams that won 67 games in the regular season and then went on to win the championship. 9. That's it. I thought that was a very low number. I was looking at in recent years for the last 5-7 years or whatever, there's nothing like that. Obviously, Golden State and they had their run in the mid 2010s, but in this decade, Boston just last year, that's far and away the best team of the decade. And I've heard Chris Broussard specifically and other people trying to make a case for them to be somehow in there with the greatest teams of all time. I mean, maybe like the 25 best or something, but if you're talking like the cream of the crop, best teams of all time, no, I'm sorry. And the one thing that struck me that I found just out of bounds and something, again, why you got to be careful about comparing eras. And that was the fact he said, oh, well, Boston won 80 games. That's only this amount of team. Right there. Why that's ridiculous and stupid to do is because you look at some of the other teams in the 50s and the 60s, they only had typically 2 rounds in the playoffs. So they're not going to rack up 16 playoff wins. Even into the late 60s, 70s, and the first, I think up till 83, there was only 3 rounds of the playoffs. Now, from 1984 to I think it was 2002 or 2003, right around there, the first round was best of 5. So the most you could win was 15 playoff games because you would have 3 and then 4, 4, 4, 15. But now, since in the last 20 years or so, they've changed the first round to being best of 7. You get to rack up an extra easy win against a 7 or an 8 seed. And I just think that, that's fine. Just do not compare that to what, like, the 72 Lakers, for example, did. No, that's just not a fair, good comparison at all. Even though the 72 Lakers, even minus a round, still won more than the 2024 Celtics did. In fact, they won, I think, 81 games. Yeah, 81. They would have won 12 games in the playoffs, and Boston won 16. So they won 81 to Boston's 80. But I just think that's a flimsy argument. But in the whole history of the NBA, that's why I think the magic number is 67. It's an elite number that it's still a single-digit accomplishment. Only 9 teams have ever done this. And again, the playoff record doesn't matter. You know, the run itself doesn't matter. You had one of the best regular seasons of all time, and you won the championship. Teams like the 2016 Warriors automatically comes to mind. They're not in it because they didn't win the championship. The 73 Celtics won 68 games. They didn't win it. They're not included in this. The 2007 Dallas Mavericks, they won 67 games. They got upset in the first round. They're certainly not. None of those teams are in it. While that's a fine accomplishment, you're not in this elite group of teams. And the teams are the first one to do it in the first 20 years of the NBA. Nobody did it. The 1967 Philadelphia 76ers went 68-13. Even though they didn't play 82 games, they won 68. So they probably would have won 69, had they played it. But whatever, 68-13, they're one of the teams. Then the next team to do it was just 5 years later, 1972 Lakers. So I was just talking about, they were 69-13. And what's funny about that is the first 2 times it was ever done was Will Chamberlain was on that team. So he has 2 of the 9 greatest seasons of all time. Now, I know people talk about runs, like the 83 76ers. They were, 12-1 in the playoffs. The 2001 Lakers, they were 15-1 in the playoffs. That's excellent. But they did not win 67 games in the regular season and then win a championship. That's only been done by 9 teams ever. Even the 91 Bulls, I heard them bring up because of the playoff record. They're 15-3. No, I'm sorry. That's a great run, and they had a phenomenal season being 61 wins. But no, that it's the combination of the 2 things. You had one of the best regular seasons of all time. I just named, there's 9 teams that won it and 3 teams that didn't. So only 12 teams ever have won 67 games, period, in an NBA season. And then you have 9 of the 12 that won the championship. So that is a very exclusive elite group. But anyway, that's the first 2 that did it. Then it wasn't done again for 14 years until the 86 Lakers. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is how exclusive it is, how hard it is. The 86 Boston Celtics, they were 67-15. They had the best home record of all time. They had, special things that happened that season. But that was only the 3rd time it was ever done, okay? And then the next team to do it was the 1992 Chicago Bulls. They were 67-15. All right. Then the 96 Bulls, 72-10. And then the 97 Bulls, 69-13. So there's 6 of them right there. And that was in the 20th century. The 2000 Lakers did it. They were 67-15 also. And some people argue that that's the 90s because the season started in the 90s. But I still kind of count it as a 2000s thing. But either way, whatever. Okay, so that's the 7th one. Then the other 2 is the 2015 Golden State Warriors and the 2017 Golden State Warriors. That's the only 9 teams that have ever won 67 games in the regular season and won the championship. That's it. Well, what sticks out right away of what I said? Well, obviously, you got some teams that did it multiple times. You got Golden State Warriors did it in 2015 and 2017. So, Curry, was the best player in 2015. 2017, you can argue it was actually Durant. So that one, I don't want to throw shade on it. I don't want to say it's not quite as meaningful. However, the 2015 one to me means more because they did it without Kevin Durant. And then 2017, they did the exact same thing. I know Durant had injuries. They could have maybe even won more, maybe 70 games. But anyway, they did do it. Golden State won 2 of the 9 championship. Now, the Lakers did it in 2000, and they also did it in 72. But you could say Kobe and Shaq have one of those coveted 9, championships of a 67-plus win team. Then you have the 2 Wilt Chamberlain ones, which is the 67 Philadelphia and 72 Lakers. Not the same team, but the same player. So Wilt has claimed 2 of them. Like Steph Curry's got claim to 2 of them. Shaq, Kobe, they got 1. That's 5. Then the next the 86 Celtics, Larry Bird's got 1. There's 6. And then the Chicago Bulls have 3 of them. 1/3 of the best seasons of all time. 67 plus wins in the regular season and won the championship. To me, that's better than a team that simply won, that simply had a hot playoff run or whatever. Now, okay, here's one for example. The 89 Pistons. Nobody ever brings them up as being like a really great team. They were 63-19, which is a really good record, but they were 15-2 in the playoffs, and they swept 3 rounds. Okay, so that's impressive. The only teams that lost 1, I think, was the 2001 Lakers, the 2017 Warriors. I think that's it for teams that had 4 rounds in the playoffs. That's it. So that's impressive that they did that as well. The 89 Pistons only losing the 2, but they didn't win 67 games. So for me, it's not quite as impressive. They were one of the best defensive teams of all time, one of the deepest teams of all time, but they're probably right outside the top 10 as far as all-time teams. But all these teams, most people consider great. Now, the 2015 Warriors, they benefited from injuries. So did the 2017 Warriors, like major injuries, and benefited majorly from. And I think that's part of the reason why we're kind of like, but. But anyway, I don't know if people knew this, but it's just another thing that the Bulls accomplished in the 90s, another feather in their cap, that they have 1/3 of the most 60, they have 1/3, 3 of the 9, 67 plus win seasons that also won the championship. I mean, that's incredible. And I've mentioned before that, since 1967, that Michael Jordan has 2 of the 3 three-peats. And he also has 1/3 of the repeats. So that's just another thing right there. So he's got 2/3 of the three-peats since 1968. He has 1/3 of the repeats since, I guess, 1970. Which, that's incredible. But overall in the history of the NBA, because this only happens about once every 9 years on average, and he's got 3 of them. So I think that's just incredible. You can talk about the watered down era competition all you want. Nobody's ever going to convince me that the 90s was the weakest era the NBA's ever seen. There's no way you're going to convince me of that. The numbers don't support it. So I've ran through all the evidence and whatnot, and there's no evidence that happened at all. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. I didn't know if anybody was aware of that. I've never heard anybody mention that. And to me, this is a big deal. This is a huge thing to talk about. I mean, the historic value of what the Bulls did in the 90s is just incredible. And again, I mean, people always trying to prop up this era, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm sorry. Going back to 2017, the best team that you got is the 2024 Celtics. And sure, they're a good team, but they're one of about, 30 teams that have, won, well, I guess 64. I'll run through it real quick. 64 or more, you got the 67 76ers, 71 Bucks, 72 Lakers, 83 76ers, 86 Boston, 87 Lakers, 92 Bulls, 96 Bulls, 97 Bulls. You got the 2000 Lakers. You got the 08 Boston, 09 Lakers, 2013 Heat, 2015 Golden State, 2017 Golden State. So, okay, they're one of 15 teams, one of 16 teams to win 64 or more and win the championship. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. But they're not in this club right here. And the fact that they won 16 playoff games is irrelevant when it comes to historical value. Because, like I said, other eras didn't get to play 16, need 16 wins to win the championship. They didn't have to play some 39-win team or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like, beat up on to get 4 easy, quick wins. That just didn't happen back then. Didn't have as many teams. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time.